When you're playing Hold'em, there's just nothing sweeter than looking down at a pair of pocket aces. Now, while that's definitely the best starting hand you can get, it doesn't come without significant problems if you fall deeply in love with them, especially in no-limit Hold'em. See, the problem is so many players have a tough time believing that their aces could ever lose. It happens, okay? It happens to everybody. In fact, even 7-deuce offsuit will beat aces about 12.5% of the time. The scariest aces busters are suited connectors and small pairs. A hand like 6-7 suited, that's going to beat aces more often than you think. Even a pair of deuces are going to crack aces some of the time. For example, let's say you raise before the flop with your aces and your opponent calls you with pocket deuces. If the flop comes jack, 6, deuce, all different suits, your pair of aces are in for some big trouble. It's tough to just throw the hand away on such a ragged flop, which is exactly what makes playing a hand like deuces so alluring. The deuces are so much easier to play. If you don't catch a third deuce on the flop, you can simply dump your hand and wait for the next opportunity. Not so easy to do that when you have aces, is it? No-limit Hold'em specifically is a game of implied odds, meaning that you are looking to make small investments early in the hand in the hopes that they're going to pay off big time later in the hand. The truly great players recognize the problem with playing big pairs like aces, kings, and queens, and they make the necessary adjustments. Rather than overvaluing their big pair, they proceed cautiously in the face of danger. If, for example, a flop comes 6, 7, 8, and they have aces, a top player wouldn't be so quick to go all in, fearing a possible straight, trips, or even two-pair. They may choose to just call an opponent's bet, and if the heat becomes too strong, they might just fold on the turn before going broke. In a spot where a novice player would complain about his bad luck, "Can you believe I just lost with aces to a guy who played 9-10?" Oftentimes, it wasn't the novice player's luck that lost him all of his money. It was his inability to recognize the danger in that flop and avoid going broke. So in knowing this, a deadly strategy is born. If you're facing an opponent who isn't capable of folding big pairs after the flop, it would make sense to play with that type of player with weaker hands, even though you're fully aware that your opponent has a big pair. In fact, with a hand like pocket 3s, 4s, or 5, 6 suited, that's precisely what you want him to have. You want him to have aces. That way, if you're lucky enough to hit a monster flop, you'll have that poor sucker on the ropes desperately hoping for a miracle ace to save him. This is what great players will try to do against a novice. When you see a guy like Gus Hansen on TV, or myself for that matter, playing all kinds of hands that you aren't supposed to play, remember that there's method to the madness.